It's all okay. So like Malphite and a lot of these Shurima cards are pretty unplayable. And you know, they're giving good stuff to Targon, and they're giving good stuff to Thresh Nasus, and Merciless Hunter is, you know, really good, and they'll definitely enjoy that deck. But like Dancing Droplet is for me is the one hope. I need Dancing Droplet. I'm all in on Dancing Droplet. It needs to save everything. Ionia needs to be the one. I have to ride the Ionia copium. I never thought I'd be the one to rely on Ionia of all regions. Please, Ionia, please come back to me. I know we left it kind of off. We left it kind of rocky before, and I know it's been a while, but I need you, Ionia. I need you more than ever before. All we need is for them to get more cards that aren't like Shadows of the Past. That's the only thing we need. We just need today's reveals to dodge this level of card as much as possible, and we'll be totally fine. We can get through this. Both of us, Ionia. We can do it. Ionia, okay, here's what's gonna happen. Here's what you guys need to understand. It all comes down to Irelia's mana cost. I think, like, a lot of people don't realize how important mana cost is. If you, like, guys, if you look at the champions in this video game, here's the thing. Every 1-cost champion is, like, pretty good. Pretty much all the 2-cost champions are pretty good. Well, they fucking were. Whatever. Okay, like, when you're cheap, you're playable. It's that easy. And, like, most of the 3 costs are at least been played sometimes, but, like, they start to get kind of bad in some cases. And then the 4s are where the cracks really start to show. And then it just gets, like, worse and worse after this. Don't look at the 5s. Just look away from the 5s, right? Here's the thing. Mana is everything, right? It doesn't even really matter what she does. She just needs to be, like, 2 or 3 mana, right? That's pretty much it. At least, and obviously there's a couple exceptions, but if you look at like the average value of these cards, it just gets linearly progressively worse as you increment the mana ranks. Period. Like without exception, every tier leads into the other and just gets less consistent on average. Irelia just wants to be cheap. That's what we're looking for. We just want Irelia to be, I mean, she could be 4 mana if she's nuts, but like if she's 5 mana, we're doomed. That's it. So here we go, guys. This is it. And here we go. This is it. The last cards, the Irelia support cards. We don't see herself yet. These are Ionia cards. They need to be good. Ribbon Dancer, 2 mana, 2/1, play Blade Dance 1. So Blade Dance is something we don't know what it does, I guess. Interesting. So that's part of their ability here. Okay. Swap 2 allies. Syncopation. Burst speed, swap 2 allies. Woo! That's really interesting. Oh man, that's really interesting. So for those of you guys who don't know what this means, swap 2 allies is the same as Shen Stand United. And a surprising amount of people don't know this because nobody really plays Shen Stand United. A swap will literally change targeting abilities on the stack. If your opponent casts Mystic Shot on something and you use Syncopation, the Mystic Shot will be swapped, right? Whatever you swap it to, it will change the targeting. So you can change the targets of opponents' cards. You can change the positions of your cards during combat, like blockers or attackers. This is a potentially pretty powerful card. This is potentially something that will save it all, right? Like if they use like Mystic Shot on Zed, I mean, Syncopation will be a way to get around that. Now, I will note also Ionia is in, like, one of the things Ionia does is elusives, right? So Syncopation is also another way of letting your big non-elusives smack face instead of your elusives once they declare blockers. You swap your elusive out for your bigger guy. And we do know Ionia just got a 1 mana 1/1 elusive. This card looks like a crazy amount of potential. Especially with like double attack and stuff like that. Yeah, this can be really nasty. This can be actually insane. I love this card. I love this card so much. All right, Coastal Defender. 4 mana, 2/6. When you summon an ally, give me +2/+0 this round. Whoa, that's interesting. So it's very, very, very reminiscent of Inspiring Marshal from Shurima, which was a 4 mana 4/6 that buffed other things when you play allies. This is kind of the same thing except it buffs itself. It looks a little awkward to use. you kind of need to do some like ghost or syncopation or kind of thing to be able to like make it deal damage. It can stack big. 6 HP is a lot, which is nice. But in a lot of like open attack situations, the 2 attack isn't going to do a lot. It is stat efficient at least. So this could be all right. Blade Dance will summon token units. Yeah, it will work with the blades in some way. Blossoming Blade, 4 mana 3/3, Blade Dance 2. Did they announce what it is? What Blade Dance is? And then Zinneia Steel Crescendo, 8 mana 3/5. When you Blade Dance, I attack with the blades. Play Blade Dance 1. All right, so I don't know what Blade Dance does, but this card at 8 mana is probably not that good. Probably not that good. There's a meme in Runeterra where if it's epic, it's just not good. All right, Syncopation is everything I ever wanted. So I've been saying for a very long time, very long time, on Shen's Stand United, I was saying, man, I just want Ionia to have a cheap swap card. I just want Ionia to literally have a card that says swap 2 allies and for it to be cheap. This is literally everything I wanted. It's a really cool concept. There's a lot of like interesting things you can do with the concept of a swap, and it always felt bizarre that it was just never really actually present in the game as a mechanic, right? Except for on Stand United, which is doing a lot of things at once, right? Doing a lot of things at once. Blade Dance X. So they still haven't confirmed. It looks like they usually, when they do this kind of reveal, they will at least tell us what Blade Dance does for sure. But it looks like they haven't exactly confirmed. I mean, we're guessing that it has something to do with blades. Blade Dance X might be start a free attack with X number of blades. That's a good guess. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. For the most part, Ribbon Dancer might be pretty good. Blossoming Blade might be pretty good. We don't know how they work with Aurelia. I personally... Coastal Defender is tricky. I mean, it's got solid stats.
Basically 1/8 gay.
Smile.
It actually might be fine. You need to be reliably summoning allies every turn. It's going to be a bit vulnerable into open attacks. The only problem with Coastal Defender is Ionia isn't really the kind of region that wants to play for raw stat value. Like, you can look at Coastal Defender as like a value play. You know, when you compare it to like, you know, a good 4-drop, like if you're looking at stats like Bull Elnuk, and you're like, oh, well, it's kind of like a Bull Elnuk, but better because it's got 6 health and sometimes it'll have more than 4 attack. The only problem with that is Ionia is not the kind of region that wants a stat stick, right? There's some kinds of regions that would be able to use this pretty well, but Ionia is mostly playing for either just like elusive aggro win condition or some kind of like combo stall out. Stats are not really what Ionia tends to favor. So I'm not as confident Coastal Defender is going to hit competitive decks, but it's at least not bad. Low-key Syncopation is nuts. Yeah, the more I look at Syncopation, the crazier it gets. There's so many things you can do with that. I love it so much. And this card is really important because it just makes up everything. Like, do you guys have any ideas for other crazy things you can do with Syncopation? I want to look at these a little bit more and see if, because I think they'll give us confirmation in the next couple of minutes on precisely what Blade Dance does, so we can know for sure. Syncopation is kind of like a 2-mana deny, unironically. Yeah, pretty much. In a lot of cases. You can protect a lot of things at the cost of like one of your other units, but the fact that it's 2 mana is insane. It also works really well with Ionia because part of what Ionia does is swarm, right? That's another reason why Syncopation is kind of perfect for Ionia. Like I said, Syncopation, the same reason Syncopation is good for Ionia is the same reason Coastal Defender isn't good for Ionia. Like, think about what Ionia is doing as a region, right? Like, Ionia is playing aggro swarm with like semi-elusives, or they're going for like some kind of like, you know, stall combo with like Lee Sin or something like that. And I mean, Lee Sin can definitely use this kind of concept. Like, you can potentially protect Zoe from a ridiculous amount of things with Syncopation for really cheap. Like, that can start getting really trolly really fast, right? It's just good with Zed. Yeah, Syncopation is good with Zed. Like Ionia goes wide, right? That's their whole thing. They're a swarm aggro, and Syncopation works really well with wide swarm, because the whole point of Syncopation is you're able to, as long as your board is wider than your opponent's, guarantee that your big units are hitting them instead of anything else. And that can actually be really scary. Like, unironically, I could see, like, literally 0 Ionia. I mean, we've seen cards like Horns of the Dragon make sense before. And with a little bit more protection and, like, in the right speed of Ionia deck, that kind of thing. You know, you could run, like, double attack with, like, Lucian Senna and sometimes just, like, cheese out games like that. There's a lot of cute things you can do. All right, where's this Blade Dance confirmation? Here we go. New keyword, Blade Dance. Start a free attack with that many summoned blades. Interesting. Okay, so that makes sense. That makes sense. So it starts a free attack. So when you play Ribbon Dancer, it's sort of like an immediate, instant speed scout attack. Like, when you play Ribbon Dancer, it will summon a blade and then start an attack right away. So it's just like, kind of like 1 free damage, right? And of course, MF coin time. I mean, it's good with MF because I guess you can level MF pretty fast. That's might be completely insane. But it does look like either MF or basically like the Azir kind of synergy as well. MF or Azir. I don't know if Azir can escape Lucian. That's interesting. That's so interesting. This does change everything. Yeah. I mean, mostly to be able to abuse this kind of effect, you really, really, really do want it on like Misfortune or Azir or Emperor's Dais, pretty much. Like, those are the cards that this is going to be good for, right? Lucian with Blades. Blades, unfortunately, obliterate themselves when they leave combat instead of dying, so they don't work with Lucian's death triggers. So you're going to want to combine this with, I think Misfortune and Azir are really the big two. I don't know if there's really much else that can be on that level. But, I mean, Field Musician is also in Ionia. It is not impossible that Field Musician could definitely hit this deck. We'll see. It depends on the speed the deck is playing at. MF Irelia gang? Yeah, it's pretty spooky. But basically, you just, like, you can play these on, like, defensive turns as well. And just get, like, silly triggers. Yeah. Yeah, and it all comes down to, like, where Irelia is going to be as well. Like, Irelia's mana point and exactly, like, how she hits the board and what speed she's playing at is going to determine, you know, how valuable it is to do this, like, Blade Dance plus Misfortune or Blade Dance plus Azir. Snapvine? Wait, Snapvine with these is really funny. Wait, that's super dumb. Does that actually work? So Snapvine, in theory, I mean, obviously this is terrible. Don't actually do this. But Snapvine, in theory, you'd just get these, you know, on turn 8 or whatever, when you play these, you'd get these free, like, 5/3 attacks. Which, I mean, that's pretty funny. Snapvine won't attack. I mean, it's honestly, it might make less sense for a Snapvine to attack, but we don't know. Like, these are interactions we have to test. It's definitely possible it does attack. You can swap Zed with its shadow. Yeah, big true. You can swap Zed with its shadow. Swap Fizz? Yeah. Syncopation to swap Fizz. So the big question is, when you use Syncopation and swap Fizz, does it stop the spell on the Fizz? Does the Syncopation happen, the spell then targets the Fizz, and then the Fizz resolves to stop the spell? Or do you need to play a second spell to stop the spell? But if Syncopation can stop any spell just by targeting Fizz, like the Fizz will resolve after the Syncopation, that's pretty crazy. And like Fizz and like Ionia in like an elusive style aggro deck could definitely work if that's true, but we don't know. You can test it with the Shen, Stand United, and Fizz. Wait, that's true. I have to test it. That's true because nobody's ever used that before. Nobody's ever done Stand United and Fizz. I actually just have to test it. All right, here we go, guys. Will this work? There's no chance it could be based on the order in which I select them, could it? There's no way. Oh, shit! It works! Yo, that actually, with Syncopation, look, yay, surprise! Nobody knew how this interaction worked. There was no reason ever. There has never been a reason to know how this interaction worked. That is so crazy. But now, we've got Syncopation. We've got a 2-mana swap at burst speed. Ionia and Fizz elusives could actually be a degenerate deck. That is actually a little dumb. Oh man, this is it, guys. I am ready. Syncopation is everything. Ionia only needed a couple of good cards, and we've got it. Yesterday, we got Droplet. Droplet's nuts. We can build around this. We can build this deck. And today we got Syncopation. Syncopation is everything we needed, guys. The swap works. It literally just stops. It's a burst speed deny on anything that targets at 2 mana. If you have a Fizz on the board. If you don't have a Fizz on the board, you're still absorbing the target with one of your other units. It's just Fizz is like the perfect target absorber. Fizz is just the perfect target absorber. That is so good. Syncopation is actually crazy. You can syncopate with the blades too. Yeah, that's a really interesting thing you do. The blades will have these free attacks. When you summon these blade dancers, the blades will have free attacks, and then you can syncopate to make the attack something that's not a blade, right? Like you can swap your blade in for like a Horns of the Dragon, which is really funny. Unfortunately, it won't work with attack commands like Zed, because the attack will get launched immediately, and by the time you're thinking about swapping, it's already too late to actually get an attack command effect. But, I mean, you can definitely do some cute stuff with that too. I love this. Syncopation is literally, it's like, it's a staple card of this region, right? It's something that Ionia, it's literally felt missing, because like Ionia had this swap ability, and it would make so much sense for them, and it's back. Ionia's back, baby. Ionia's back. This brings so many concepts in Ionia together. Oh man, this is it. Today's the day, dude. I've been getting progressively more hyped for these reveals, honestly. And when I say that, like, think back to like day 1. You remember? So like day 1 we had nothing. And then like on day 2 we got literally less than nothing. I don't know what the fuck these cards are. But then it's like progressively more and more they're saving the best for last. Like I just care about Syncopation. This is my one true love. And I think this Aurelia archetype might be pretty cool. To be honest, who cares? I mean, Aurelia, hopefully she'll do a cool thing. But I'm not even on her anymore. I don't even need Aurelia anymore. That's going to be I'll be talking more about these, and we're going to have to see, but that's Aurelia tomorrow.